Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'll be covering the weather for October 14th of 2023. Currently, we have a marginal threat for the eastern coast of North Carolina into parts of the southern coast of Virginia. As for threats for today, we do have a 2% tornado threat for the eastern coast of North Carolina and a 5% wind threat, but we don't have any hail threat for today. So the primary thing that I'm going to be covering in today's forecast is going to be that damaging wind and tornado potential for the eastern coast of North Carolina. Taking a look at our weather models, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do. We're not going to be taking a look at our 500 millibars all that much. However, we are going to be taking a look at our surface analysis. We have a surface low pressure system that is currently situated across the border between South Carolina into North Carolina, somewhere in the South Carolina to North Carolina vicinity, and it has a stationary front that is draped eastward into North Carolina. And then we also have a cold front that is extending out into Florida, and then we also have a warm front that's extended out into the Atlantic Ocean, and it has begun the occlusion process. We are seeing a little bit of a occluded front developing off of that low pressure system. This was expected, and as this cold front catches up with this warm front, and the occluded front pushes into the area of focus for today, that is going to help trigger and focus our area for severe thunderstorm development. But we should also see a little bit of aid from this large, broad area of mid-level flow with this trough that we've been tracking the last couple of days. We should see a little bit of directional shear come out of this to support that 2% tornado threat and the threat of damaging winds as well. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity, I'm going to be going over when and where we should see our storms before we get into the deep nitty-gritty of things. Storms are expected to develop anywhere from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Overall, the models have been a little bit indecisive. They are expected to develop somewhere in this location. I think they're going to develop probably pretty much more to the southeast. However, again, models have been pretty indecisive about where they're going to develop and when. Models have been indicating that storms could develop anywhere in this area. Anywhere from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and then should continue northeastward and exit into the Atlantic Ocean anywhere from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that's that's pretty much everything you need to know about where and when our storm should be. Taking a look at our dew points, focusing on the marginal threat area, you can see that we are expected to have quite a bit of moisture across this region, and quite a bit of moisture is going to support quite a bit of instability. We are expected to see dew points are going to be ranging anywhere from the mid-60s further north, and then closer to the low pressure system because the surface low is pulling in a lot of moisture from the Atlantic Ocean. We are expected to see dew points that could be getting into the low 70s, closer to that low pressure system. However, our instability may be a little bit more so on the weaker side. Taking a look at our temperatures, focusing on the marginal threat location and our various fronts, you can see our warm front out into the Atlantic Ocean. It's a little bit harder to see. Let me switch to a color that better represents a warm front. You can see our warm front kind of draped into the Atlantic Ocean, going out into the southeast, and then you can see our cold front is back behind our warm front, somewhere between Florida and South Carolina. And as the warm front catches up to, or the cold front catches up to the warm front, those are going to occlude. And as this occluded front pushes eastward, that should again help focus our area for severe thunderstorms. However, overall widespread as far as instability, our temperatures are going to be getting into probably going to stay mostly around the upper 60s into the mid 70s. So it's a little bit it's a little bit colder because we are getting into fall. We are moving away from those summer-like temperatures. So, and we are getting more fall-like temperatures, which could lead to overall much weaker instability, regardless of how strong our dew points are. And then widespread across the United States, we are expected to see the cold front that we've been tracking the last couple of days continue to push eastward, and a strong southerly pull or strong northerly pull out of Canada, out of the north, should lead to significantly colder temperatures later this week into Sunday and next week as well. Taking a look at our instability, focusing on the marginal threat location, you can see we are expected to have fairly moderate instability to weak instability. We are expected to see Cape values are going to be ranging anywhere from the triple digits, possibly getting as high as the 1000s range. However, it isn't really expected to get into the 2000s or the 3000s. It is expected to stay a little bit more so on the weaker side and support a marginal threat for severe thunderstorms across this location. But overall, this instability with the directional shear that we have, and I will show you our directional shear on our observed soundings and our photographs. We should see the threat of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes across this region with this amount of instability and our directional shear, as well as the threat of some damaging winds. But overall, we shouldn't really see anything too crazy, as overall our instability is going to be a little bit more so on the weaker side. Taking a look at our energy helicity index readings, focusing on our tornado threat across the eastern coast for North Carolina, you can see we are expected to have quite a bit of energy helicity index readings out across this region. Our best chance for tornadic development is probably going to be anywhere across the coastal regions or in this little bay of North Carolina. I'm not sure what it's called, but overall our best chance for tornadoes would probably be anywhere along the coast or in this little bay across the coast of North Carolina. However, we could also see a little bit of a lower potential for a little bit of spin up in the atmosphere further inland, but overall the majority of our energy helicity index readings and our threat for tornadoes should be along the coast to in this bay region. But overall we should see the threat of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes across this region. Taking a look at our observed soundings, I'm currently situated at this little star right here along the coast of North Carolina, right in that marginal threat location. You can see as of right now, our cap has fully eroded, so storms should be developing, if not already have developed and are ongoing. And if they're not, they should be developing very, very soon. And you can see we have fairly weak instability as of right now. Our instability does extend a little bit above our 300 millibar level, and overall our instability is a little bit more so on the weaker side, with most unstable Cape in the 793s for this location. However, again, even if it is in the a little bit on the weaker side, we should still see the threat of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes, but overall a little bit more of a marginal threat for tornadoes because of how weak our instability is, and then also how little directional shear we have. Overall, our curvature in the low levels of the photograph is fairly weak, but it is there, and it is going to help support the threat of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes across this region. And we do have a fairly elongated photographs here as well, and we could potentially see the threat of some localized very small hail, if any. Overall, we shouldn't really see the threat for hail with this amount of instability, but the threat for hail may still be there in a very localized and very small region. And then if we take a look at some of the regions around that, we can go down to South Carolina. Even though that's not in the area of the marginal threat, it will still give us a little bit of a good idea of what could be going on around the area. You can see that curvature in the low levels, a little bit of directional shear there, and we have significantly weaker instability because this is south of our low pressure system, where our surface low isn't pulling in the moisture and instability from the Atlantic Ocean. So overall, we don't really have the instability that we have here in North Carolina, and we have a cap in place, so we shouldn't really see the threat of thunderstorms down in South Carolina. But it just goes to show that we have the directional shear to support tornadoes. And then if we go further inland in North Carolina, you can see even more curvature in the low levels of that photograph, a little bit more directional shear here. And if we go up to Maryland, it doesn't look all that good here, but you can see overall very weak curvature in the photograph. Even though this doesn't really look like it would be a curved photograph to really support a tornadic threat, there is still a little bit of a directional shear outside of the North Carolina region. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. And if you live in any of the areas that I covered for today, please stay weather alert for the time being, and hopefully I will be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.